overall thoughts on tonight's match?
Overall thoughts. I thought big team effort, stuck to the game plan. Just a full team effort, stuck to the game plan, committed to it, believed in it, and got the reward.
You had talked about the Orlando game as kind of setting a benchmark of how you want to perform. How would you sort of compare this performance to that performance? Obviously, you got a win in this one and you didn't in the other one, but in terms of the performance itself.
Yes, I would say similar. I really think that our performances across 7 games, whatever we played, 7 I think, 7? Yes. Yeah. Have been consistent. I think there's been one blip at the Angel City game where we didn't perform. And that doesn't always mean you're going to get the result, but I think the thing that I'm really proud of the group tonight was they did all the horrible stuff better than we did against some other teams, Portland being one of them, where we're winning the game and there was never really those crazy, heart in mouth moments towards the end, which I'm really proud of the group for, because that was something we spoke about after Portland, we spoke about after last week's game in Bay. I think for us, we're a team right now where we have to respect who we are, but we have to respect the opponent too. And that takes a little bit of humility to do that, to be able to buy in. And as we keep moving and performing, maybe there'll come times where we don't have to respect the opponent as much. But, Orlando and Kansas are very dominant teams right now in this league. And I think to put on the 2 performances that we have against those 2 teams, and obviously get a result like we did tonight, it just shows the growth of where we're at. That, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, we lose, and 4 weeks later we come out with a victory. So we're climbing. We're doing all the things that we know we need to do to get better. And like I said, you're not always going to get the result if that is the case, but I'm very, very happy tonight that we did.
And then in terms of defensive structure, obviously you returned to the 5-back that you had sort of played against Orlando, but then they bring on Temo Chawinga in the 60-something minute.
Not a bad sub.
Not a bad sub at all. How do you make any particular changes when she comes into the game? Did you plan that she was going to start the game? How did that sort of work out for the team?
We knew she took a knock last week against North Carolina. I must have studied her coming off probably more than I studied the whole game. Because she's such a threat, she's a game changer. So we prepared for both. And when we knew she wasn't starting, we tweaked a little bit about how we were going to defend. And then when she came on, we went to what we'd planned for. And then we made some substitutions to help with that. I think we were dropping a little bit too deep. And not getting any impact on the ball, which is just unsustainable. And I thought when Ainsley came on and Maddie Curry came on, we were able to get a little bit higher, and then Maddie Darlene going higher when Shea coming on also helped with that, because we stopped service too. So, it was a tiny tweak to the defending when we knew she wasn't starting.
Hey, Laura. Can you just continue with the theme of defensive play? Can you speak to, I know when we, after the Orlando match, we spoke about it a little bit with Maddie Darlene getting back. The last few weeks spoke to you about Sam Meza and the way that Haz has been playing. Can you speak to them? Because we had Claudia in here a little bit ago, and just hearing her credit, players like that blocking shots and saying that she really didn't have to do too much in a match like tonight. Yeah. Can you speak about the way that your players who aren't listed as defenders, who defended really well tonight? Can you speak to their performances?
Yeah, I thought Sam and Haz worked really hard and broke a lot up, and we asked a lot of them. They had to cover a lot of ground. I thought Jordan Heitmer was exceptional too. I thought she covered so much ground tonight. And Anna slotting in at right wing back. Obviously, Maddie Curry took a little knock last week. And we debated throughout the week, were we going to go with Anna and Maddie Darlene as both sort of hybrid fullbacks, or were we going to go a little bit more defensive on one side and a bit more attacking on the other? And I thought that they all did great, but I also think you've got to credit the back 3 too. I thought JB, Phoebe and Lou stood up were counted. Didn't do everything brilliantly, but did everything really well, and really nullified their threat, which is really hard to do.
And even more on the defense, Lynn kind of shared some insight about how the defenders have worked so hard this year, looked at so much film to, make sure that they're doing their things correctly. What have you seen from your perspective about the way that your, defensive players have worked to improve upon, obviously, last year not being what anybody wanted?
Yeah, they're so committed. Credit the fella in the back, actually, too. He's done a ton of work with the back line recently on, little things that we'd often don't get time to do as a team. That can mean us, getting a clean sheet or not. And, we've got a young group, we've got a young team with a little bit of experience dropped in there with Lou and Phoebe that need that extra work, and I think we've done a good job this year of really focusing in on what each unit needs to do, what they're doing well, what they need to get better at. And we know that we're on a journey. And I think the most exciting part about the whole team, and especially the back line, and I include Claudia in that, is we're nowhere near our ceiling. Like, nowhere. We've got the tallest ceilings in the world in this team, which I just am so excited about, because even in the way that we play with the ball and defensively, there's so much growth for us, but we're still... keeping teams to 1 goal and no goals across the board. So I think for us, we got to keep that up. But we know on the other end, we can be even more ruthless and score that second one, which, will let me heart rate drop earlier than it does right now.
Congratulations on the win, Laura. I wanted to ask about Lynn. I mean, she's had some of those kind of, I don't think it's really scrappy, but those kind of quick reflex goals against you. How nice is it to have it on your side?
It's fantastic, yeah. When I heard that there was a chance we could get Lynn, it was goals like tonight that I was like, this is why she could be huge for us, where it's, the scrappy in the box. She scored a really similar goal in Coachella, actually, in pre-season, that a lot of our other forwards want the perfect sort of opportunity, and she just turns something that's like a half chance into a chance so quickly. And it's why she is who she is, why she's had the career she's had. She's why she's got the stats she's got, is because she can do things like that.
I will take her in the middle and then Grant in the back.
Coach, congratulations.
Thank you. Nice shirt.
You read Kansas City like ABC. The tactical discipline was exemplary. Mm-hmm. Now, minute 65, things shifted dramatically. Obviously, Kansas City wanted a goal. Yeah, they started attacking, and then what at least my perception was that there were many balls just kicked long. Yeah, and ended up either on the goalkeeper, and there was nearly no possession. Yeah, plan, no plan. Would you have liked to have more possession?
Yeah, I think they're the little nuances we've got to get better at. I think right now we're in a stage where we sometimes overplay in those moments, and tonight we didn't, where we defend the moment really well and then we don't clear it and they get their second chance. There was nuances tonight where we could have kept it a little bit. We expected them to put us under pressure and they weren't. And then I think we shifted our defending where we got Lynn and Maddie Darlene higher later, which stopped their service. So we were forcing them to play longer balls from a bigger distance, which we were happier with. And I think that's why we nullified their threat as the game got closer and closer towards that end, But yeah, I think between the 65th and the 75th, my heart rate was through the roof. So those little tweaks that we did, I think really helped at the end of the game. So I appreciate that question. Thank you.
All right, we'll take Grant in the back.
So, Laura, you mentioned Heidema played well tonight. Obviously, the header leads to the goal. It was the right play to play it back in. Is it just a matter of health, or what are you seeing from her? Because she's looked better this entire season so far compared to last year.
Honestly, I think I have to credit you guys a little bit for it. You've given her a bit of stick, and I think she's responding. And I'm not saying it's anyone in this room, but I just think media have given her a little bit of stick, And I think She's come out with a little bit between her teeth to want to prove. And I was actually talking to Vlatko before the game, and we were talking about like the age of our team. And I said, you know, Jordan Heitmer, 23. And he was like, whoa, she's still only 23, you know? And you do forget that with her, that she's obviously been around a long time, but in being a professional, but she's still super young. And I think she's come out this season. She's taken on a leadership role in the team. She set the stall out with us as staff the moment she walked back through the door to say, I want to score goals, I want to assist, I want you to help me to be better at those things. And we were like, game on, let's go. So I give her all the credit, but I think she's had a little bit between her teeth to prove what she believes and what we believe she's got in there. And I'm just so happy for her. I've got a lot of time for Jordan. She works really, really hard. And she did again tonight. I thought her defensive effort tonight was exceptional. And, you know, she gets a little bit of a reward with an assist.
All right, we'll take Bella here in the front and then Nico on Zoom.
Just because you mentioned Vlatko, I would have to double check, but I think you and him are the only original head coaches from the NWSL that are left in head coach positions. Is there anything just sort of unique or special or different about coaching against a coach so many times? Obviously different teams, different players, but the same coach, and you're both pretty much known for your tactical knowledge to an extent. What is that like?
Yeah, he's a big chess player, Vlatko. And I feel like when we play each other, that's what the games feel like. It feels like we set up a certain way, he sets up in a certain way, and the first half felt like a chess match, and then whichever one scores first, the other one has to react, and then, you know, he brings on Chawinga, and then I have to react, and I feel like that's how our games tend to be. And I said this before the game this week. I often feel like I get the better of him in the regular season. It hasn't been for a while, but I do feel that, and he always pips me at the end. So I'll take tonight and I'll celebrate it, but I know that he'll come back fighting, unfortunately.
All right, we'll go to Nico on Zoom last.
Great
Hey, Laura,
photo, Nico. Decent.
Thank you. I think it looks good on my credential.
Yeah, it looks good. It's a good one.
To talk about Phoebe, she had the most amount of touches in the game and had the highest passing accuracy at 87%. Could you talk about the role she plays in securing wins like today? Especially Kansas was all over the defense with 13 shots, 4 blocks.
Yeah, I mean, we've simplified it for Phoebes, where we're not asking her to hit, you know, big balls and hurt the opponent. We believe that her role is to keep the ball moving for us, and I think she's doing a good job of that. We always credit Phoebes with her defensive, you know, mentality and work rate and execution. But she's definitely improving on the ball side too, which is important for us. And the more she can keep doing it, the more we can keep practicing with her, the better she's going to be, because she's so dedicated to want to be better. And we all know how great she is defensively. And again, she was tonight. I thought she was exceptional. And we're just adding on layers to her with the ball and really simplifying it for her. You know, if she sees something open that she can hit that's a little bit bigger than Lou and JB, great. If not, just give it to Lou and JB and things will happen. So I think that's why we're seeing the stats from her, because she just knows that that's her job, right? It's not an easy job, but it's simplified for her. And she just keeps the ball moving for us. And if we do that and we do it well, which I thought we did tonight, opponents will come and step towards us, and then we can hit the next line and break down opponents that way. So I think we're still, again, I think, growing into it. But credit to Phoebes, because she's really embracing it and learning and each week getting better and better at it.
Thank you.